In this episode, I'll share with you my top 10 favorite Miss Universe 2023 national costumes. My name is Dani Walker. Thanks for clicking on the episode. As I'm filming this, it is almost time for Miss Universe. In just a few hours, we will have our new title holder. But before then, I want to share with you some of my personal favorite national costumes because I feel like these national costumes definitely deserve some recognition. National costume is a very difficult area of competition to judge. Now, fortunately, this is not part of the contestants' overall score, but it is a very fun competition. And my favorites, I feel like, are quite unique and diverse, and they aren't determined by any one quality. Sometimes I love a national costume because it's intricate, other times because of its creativity. So with no further ado, I will share with you my top 10 in no particular order. Ecuador. I loved this costume. It was covered in rhinestones, so it was quite pageanty, but it was just cute to me. I love that she had the train behind her. She had literally the railroad tracks behind her, and this little extra touch of bringing a bell on stage, and she was ringing a train bell on stage, I thought was so cute. I think the only extra thing that this costume you could have added to it would have been some sort of maybe like a fog machine in the costume so that when she's walking down the runway that some steam was coming out the top. I don't know if you could have done that with some sort of wireless fog machine or maybe with some dry ice or something like that. Either way, I think it would have taken the costume even to another level. But for me, it was just so whimsical and fun and shared about the history of the railroad in Ecuador. Philippines. This one was so fun. I don't know what it is, but I tend to really love national costumes that are based around an actual object. So in this case, it's a plane and she is the plane. I like that they shared about her being in the reserves. I didn't even know that about Michelle. I think that's really cool to serve your country in that way. And then also when she turned around, you were able to see Love Philippines on the back. So you also got this taste of the Philippines and how much they care about tourism and how they welcome people into their country. And I felt like that was a really, really nice touch. For me, the front of the costume is just as important as the back of a national costume. And I feel like that's where some other costumes could have been improved. A lot of the times you just focus on, yes, of course, getting into the end of the runway, that main moment, but you can also use that turnaround as another way to stand out in national costume. And I also just thought it was quite strange to see some costumes where the back just appeared unfinished. Ireland, she was a Celtic goddess of the sea. And this national costume was made of recycled materials and wool. And I love that. I love this focus on sustainability that we're seeing everywhere in pageantry. And I also liked the reveal of her national costume when she walked out. Honestly, the sheer size of it around her shoulders. And the skirt was quite unique. We do see different types of reveals, of course, during national costume, but her skirt had these rounded sort of edges in the front. So instead of a cape or just pieces that fell to the floor, we saw these circular shapes that she was walking out and holding, and then she released them on the stage. So just like that little extra touch made the national costume a little bit different for me. And of course, the colors were really, really beautiful and of course reminded me of ocean waters. El Salvador. Wow, she's the hometown girl, so that did not hurt. The audience went crazy for her. I love hearing the support of contestants. That was really cool. The costume itself when she entered, of course, was very eye-catching. But what was cool is there were multiple little reveals as well. I love the moment when the volcano lit up on her, and that was so cool. It really did look like lava flowing from a volcano. And then also she had another sort of light reveal later, and it was the lighting behind her, kind of like the volcanoes just spewing out, and it was so, so cool. So very excited to see her doing so well this year. When she was walking, they said that the volcano was symbolic of El Salvador's rebirth. And then I really like the rhyme that they had for her that Nick always creates. I love them. I think they're really fun. And they said, "It's hard to hide when you're erupting with pride, El Salvador." So I enjoyed that. Nicaragua, huge fan favorite, and her costume to me was kind of similar to Chile's costume as well. So we saw these beautiful national costumes that were inspired by birds, and these were dark birds. And I feel like we do see a lot of bird national costumes, but typically they're very bright and colorful, so this was the opposite of that. And in addition to having, of course, this beautiful wingspan, she had this really lovely and blinged out bodysuit. And then honestly, it was just her presentation. I love when contestants add a little bit more than just walking out on stage and kind of saying, here it is, take a look. And she even went down to the floor for this one. She was really playing with the wings, and she just looked like she was having a really good time. So she was one of the contestants that made me smile. St. Lucia's costume is one of my favorites because I like the creativity. I love that she talked about Nobel Peace Prize winners from her country, and I just thought that that was so unique, and it's not something that comes to mind when you think of St. Lucia. So she was able to use her national costume to teach us something. Obviously the gold is bright and very eye-catching, but the other thing I really appreciated about the costume is the reveal. I think the reveals are such a fun part of these national costumes. I like how she came out and that she opened both pieces, and it just encapsulated her on stage, and she looked very beautiful in this. Puerto Rico, her national costume was so beautiful to me, and I like the creativity. I love that her dress was supposed to be Old San Juan, and it represented a road and then also a festival. And so there was dual meaning there, but honestly just the construction of this gown was really well done. It just reminded me of a professional movie set, the way that they were able to create the road. It did not look easy to walk in, and so I was very impressed by the way that she was even able to carry this national costume. Of course, we had a lot of things going on in the front. We saw all of the buildings behind her, but then also the back had a dual meaning as well, and it more alluded to the festival. And then the other really tiny detail that I liked, I don't know if you noticed it, I didn't even have great resolution on my screen for some reason, but you could see her earrings were street lanterns. So that was so cool. And the other thing about it was that with the dress, it gave the appearance that her feet was close to you. And then as you got further away, you could see that the stoning got smaller from the road, which signified distance. And then that made a lot of sense why the earrings were smaller, because if you really think about it, they would have been farther from you. So I love that attention to detail as well. That is something special. Germany to me was memorable and just so cute. She was Rapunzel, but not just any Rapunzel. She seemed to be dressed like the Disney Rapunzel, which is very different. So her costume, it was bright pinks and purples. It was so cute. I love obviously that there is that connection to storytelling and the history and culture in Germany, but it was just so adorable to me, and it was something that I couldn't get out of my head. I think one other thing that she could have added to it though was at some point having the braid get longer or letting down her hair and then just having it trail behind her. I thought that would have been really fun too. Russia to me just looked gorgeous. A white national costume can work very, very well and stand out in the crowd if done the right way, I think. And this was just beautiful. Her white ball gown signified a swan, and also it was in reference to Russian artists. And it was breathtaking, absolutely stunning. I loved it. And she, of course, she just looked like a queen. She had this beautiful thick braid on one side of her head, and it was really pretty. It complemented the entire look. And I love the headpiece and the veil on it and just the details. This was a stunning national costume, and I just love it because it was just beautiful. Great Britain, points for creativity here. I never would have thought to create a national costume based around the language, and it's such a good point. The costume was so creative. I love that it referenced the English language. I never would have thought about that. She was literally the Oxford Dictionary. The dress was beautiful and the print was like dictionary pages. And then I really liked how she had the quill and she's kind of waving the quill around. So I like that costume so much because it's something I just never would have thought of. When we think of Great Britain, oftentimes you're thinking of monarchy, you're thinking of royal guards, things like that. But this was really, really unique and I just felt it was so well done and it made me smile. Thanks for joining me for this very quick episode. I hope that you've already checked out my other coverage of Miss Universe. If not, I will link it in the cards of this episode. If you have any requests for episodes, please leave those in the comments. Thanks for joining me and I'll see you real soon. And please don't forget to come back for my recap of Miss Universe 2023.